Hello, we're the Bricky Girls from Blaine, Kentucky.
I'm Cora.
And I'm Nella. Although I was known as Nellie growing up.
And I was known as Corey.
Or Cora Lou.
Cora Lou and Nellie V.
Yeah.
But we are here to talk and make a recording. And we wanted to pass on some tradition and some memories and some stories. And this one, we have already made 2 or 3 telling about our school days and some of the things that happened. And today we want to dedicate this one in memory of our sister Ruth that we lost last year. And so we're going to tell you some stories if we can make it through.
Okay. Originally there were four girls, and then later there were 2 boys. But we grew up on Kansas Creek in a little small house, a little 4-room house. Mm-hmm. And I remember when we were little, we had the stove, but we didn't have heat, central heat, and we didn't have telephones, and we didn't have air conditioning. We had the outdoor toilet.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Until I went to college.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you could wake up in the mornings in the winter, and there would be ice in the windows and ice on the wash pan, dish pan out in the kitchen.
Yes.
And so it was sort of rough, but we enjoyed it too. I remember playing out in the snow on the creek.
Yes.
Trying to skate. And
We always had coats and boots and hats and like those rubber boots, black rubber boots.
we did.
We were
did.
outfitted to go out in the cold. We had plenty of clothes.
Right. So there were 4 girls, and Mary was the oldest, and then Ruth was next, and then me, and then Cora Lou. And so we sort of divided it up. Mary and I, we would do dishes together and work together, and
Ruth
Cora
and
Lou
I did dishes together, slept together.
and worked
She
together.
would get mad and kick me out of the bed. No. Because I was 4 years younger than her, so her partner was a little bit younger.
Right. And Sister Mary, she was the oldest, and she had asthma. And I remember at night when I would sleep with her, especially after we had played out in the dew in the evenings, if we played outside, and she would, and I would, just pray, don't
scary.
let her die tonight,
Wow.
just that breathing with that
I never
asthma.
knew that.
She did. It was really bad.
I mean, I never knew you had to deal with that.
Yeah, I did. And then when she and Ruth were maybe, 10, 11, 12 years old, they went to visit. Do you remember this? They went to visit
Yes.
Aunt Bobby and Uncle Taylor
yes.
in Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mary
it was
had all
Frankfurt.
those tests.
She had those tests run for
Yeah.
asthma and
Yeah.
tried to help her with her allergies and
She
her
was
asthma
allergic to almost
with
everything.
medications. But we're getting on to Ruth today. And
Yeah, we're
she
going to
was-
see Mary next week, maybe.
yeah. She was the sister that we really missed. She's the first one. Our younger brother Frank had died a couple of years ago, but Ruth is dead now too, and we really miss her. So we wanted to talk about some notes that we'd made about her growing up.
Yes.
And so she was really, I've got a few little notes, so I'll glance back and forth that I did before. I'm visiting Sister Cora Lou today in Jacksonville, North Carolina. So
Yes. And we have company in the living room. You can hear their voices, my grandsons and their girlfriends. And so we're enjoying, and her husband Ralph. So we're having fun talking with each other and visiting. And so you might hear a little conversation in the other room.
Right. So we're just going to talk about some memories. And Ruth was always the one that had the temper and would get mad easier. And I was remembering too about how when we were little and we would get in fights or arguments, and she would throw apples at me, and I still remember
Because
that.
she was sitting in the apple tree hiding.
And
She would get mad and hide in the apple tree.
She loved to fight, and then she loved to make up. She had dark hair. All the rest of it, we 3 other girls were all blondes,
Yeah.
but she had the dark hair, more like mommy.
Yes.
And she was just different.
Had her own personality.
Yeah. And one thing I remember about her too, when she was a little girl, we had a neighbor that grew strawberries, had a whole field of strawberries up the road. We had to walk probably about a half a mile to a mile, and they had the baskets, and they gave us, I think it was a nickel or 10 cents a box that we picked berries for them, and then they would load the berries on trucks and take them to market. And so we worked up there maybe a week or so picking strawberries.
Probably as long as they were in season.
Right. And Ruth made maybe $5 to $10 with her strawberry picking. And so nothing would do but she ordered a guitar from Sears. And she couldn't wait for it to come in. And so she was so sure that she'd be able to
She
play
would,
it.
yes.
But she was disappointed when it came
Yeah.
and she couldn't play it.
Yeah, you had to actually learn the chords. But we had Rosina that lived up the holler next to us, who was an older teenager, and she played guitar and sang, and I think was an inspiration to
us.
Ruth that
Right,
she thought
right.
she'd be able to do it as well.
Yeah.
Rosina actually sang with Lester Flatt.
She went over to Huntington, West Virginia, and
yes.
sang on the Lester Flatt Earl Scruggs
Yes.
show.
And she was very, very good. And still singing. I saw on her Facebook today that she's going to be singing at church Sunday.
Oh, we used to love to hear her
Yeah,
sing. And,
she's still singing.
She was so talented. Really, really was.
Quite a bit older than us, but she's still going to church and making music and singing.
And we had several people in that area. You know, I mean, you're looking at 70 some years ago, and with gospel music. And we would have, there was a schoolhouse that we walked to a mile or so up the road, the elementary school, and we would have pie socials and gatherings,
square dances,
and Rosina would sing there,
Yes.
and then again, you know, at church, and so that was all an inspiration to
Yeah,
us
it was
too,
a big,
growing up.
fun time for the community because it was some of the only entertainment that we had.
That we had,
Yeah, because everybody worked hard and wasn't a lot of places to go.
And I think I was in about the 4th or 5th grade, and Ruth and Mary, we had to walk for a while. The bus did not come up, but we had to walk down to the church down there on Kansas Creek, and the bus would come up that far. And once we did start to go to school, and then Ruth and Mary were maybe junior high or something when that Blaine High School burned. And so they went to school.
I think Mary actually was in high school.
The Masonic Lodge and
Yeah.
some other places, and so that was really a thing.
You went out on the hill to school out at that on the hill, and I
Up
went
there,
to
that
that little
grade
church
school.
beside the school that burned.
When the old Blaine High School.
Yeah.
I think that school was built with the WPA or something, maybe the 1930s. And so it was a real tragedy for our community. And then now we have the Blaine, it's just an elementary school, but when they rebuilt the school, it had grades 1 through 12. And so
It was brand new. It was very
elementary and
nice.
high school both.
We were cheerleaders.
We were, weren't we? But Ruth was never a cheerleader.
No.
And so we'll get back to Ruth.
Yeah.
And she was always so pretty, though, with her dark hair. And she was very, very popular. And the boys loved her. And
Yes.
yeah. I'm going to see if I had anything back before we get to her high school days. I got the strawberries, didn't I? And we used to walk to school.
And she had always like really pretty clothes. It would have some hand-me-downs, but then you could order from Sears catalog, and she had good taste and knew what would look good. And so she always looked really pretty. She'd fix her hair long and always had a beautiful outfit. And I sneaked one of her dresses out one day and wore it to school. Evidently, I must have put a coat on because she didn't catch me until later. We were at school, and she was not happy because I was in the 8th grade wearing her light blue dress that she'd gotten to wear in high school. And I had it on in the 8th grade, and she was not happy. Needless to say, I never wore that dress again.
Yeah, it was a big deal if we got to go to Louisa shopping, or maybe when we really got to high school days or whatever, we went to Ashland a time
And
or
Grayson
two.
had a nice store.
Grayson, but mostly we ordered from the catalog.
Yeah.
Or Mom sewed, and I know I sewed, and we would make skirts, and we couldn't make blouses or anything tailored, but we could make skirts or dresses or something like that. Yeah.
And those dresses were popular that had the cap sleeve kind of and had the ruffle on it. They were real popular.
Oh,
Mommy
the
knew
big
how to make
can
those.
crinoline slips
Yeah.
that we wore under our skirts.
Yes.
And the saddle Oxfords and those big skirts were popular, and you'd sit down on the bus and your skirt would flip up in your face.
They also double as a wedding veil if you wanted to pretend that you were walking in.
Probably could. Oh, but speaking of the bus, made me think of Bobby and Billy Williams lived up the road, and Ruth and I were always really close to them because Billy was in Ruth's class and Bobby was in my class, and so we would sit with each other on the bus. And
They would come down, we'd dance,
really dear friends,
play music and dance out on the back porch.
Yeah, we would, wouldn't we? I had put that down about Bobby and Billy. I didn't want to forget them and our growing up. Oh, dancing too. Ruth could dance. Ruth and I loved it. We watched American Bandstand.
Oh yeah.
And our TV, we got 2 channels. I don't even think we got 3. We got NBC
And ABC and CBS wouldn't really come in.
right, and the antenna was he had to go across the field and up the hill, and there was an antenna, so the wires was run from the TV up there. And so Dad, when the storm came or whatever, we couldn't get TV, and he'd have to go up there and try to change it.
Yeah.
And
have to holler down, how is the picture now?
yeah. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Now?
Yeah, I put that on there too. And so we watched Wagon Train and and Sky King and all those shows.
Saturday night movies, they started showing movies, and like they may have like a Marilyn Monroe or something just on Saturday night. Once in a while, you'd have a movie that you could watch.
Oh, American Bandstand.
Yes.
Ruth and I would dance together, and so we would hold hands and do the jitterbug and all that kind of stuff. She loved to dance.
And she started dating before anybody else, and so she met this one boy from maybe Johnson County or something. She met him at somewhere, I don't know where, but she wasn't allowed to go on a date by herself. None of us were. You had to have a partner. You had to have a double date to go, because we lived far away from anything, and so it was a long drive. So we had to go in pairs, and Ruth wasn't allowed to go by herself. So this boyfriend that she had a younger brother or a younger friend, and I had to go along with her. I remember he chewed juicy fruit chewing gum. That's all I remember. I don't remember his name or what he looked like, but he always had juicy fruit chewing gum. I was probably 8th or 9th grade.
We would go up to Paintsville to the drive-in mostly, yeah.
But she had to have somebody tag along with her, and so I was elected to go because he was about my age, and I think it was this boy's younger brother, so we were elected to go.
Yeah, I remember Robert Mitchum and Thunder Road and some of those movies and Elvis Presley movies, and we didn't get to go very often of the summer, maybe 2 or 3 times or something like that.
And it was with this guy that they were riding along, and they passed this golf course, and this guy said, "Look at those greens, aren't they really pretty?" And Ruth's like, "Oh, I don't like greens of any kind."
She thought he meant vegetables green. It was Lonnie Paul Creech. That was one of her first boyfriends, was Lonnie Paul.
"Oh, I don't like greens of any kind."
We used to kid her about that. The guys did. They told it on her. Yeah. And so they would. Yeah.
She didn't know what the greens were. But we'd never been around a golf, or wasn't on TV. So it didn't have any point of reference for playing golf.
Yeah, I had written down about that, about Billy and Bobby. And then probably about her junior year of high school, Siebert Steele.
Oh, yeah, he came to town.
And that was the guy that she really loved, and she ended up marrying Siebert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He whirled into town with an old black 54 car. You could hear it coming to the end of the creek. And he wore like a black leather jacket and had long black hair slicked back, and all the girls in school just went crazy over him the minute he walked in.
He had such a sweet, kind personality. He really, she really loved him. And so after her senior year, they got married and moved to Columbus, and life was different. By then, I had gone to college, and then after Mary, older sister Mary went to Moorhead, and I did too, and so did Cora Lou. Yeah. And there she met CL.
Yeah. Met him.
Yeah.
But Ruth, in the summertime, we would go up and spend 2 weeks with her. During the summer, she would take us shopping and get to do all the big city stuff and sit on the porch. And she had that one house, and you walk a little ways down the sidewalk, and it had a little grocery store. We'd go in there and get like pop. We'd get cream sodas, and we'd go to Ruth's house and have junk food, because it's on Kansas Creek.
Right.
You didn't
and
have
pizza,
junk food.
That's probably the first pizza that we ever ate.
It was.
And so we weren't used to hamburgers or French. Well, sometimes if we went to the drive-in at Paintsville, we'd get hamburger and French fries. But I don't remember eating pizza until we were in high school, weren't we? And we went up to Columbus.
They ordered us a pizza, and they got one with like everything on it. We were like, "What in the world?"
But we grew to love pizza.
Oh yeah. Came home and made Chef Boyardee in the box.
So then she had Savannah and Jonathan and the 2 children, and the life moved on for her. And then I think Siebert was about 42.
Yeah.
And he had really bad ulcers, and he had surgery, and hemorrhaged after the surgery and died, and left her a widow with 2 teenage children at the age of 42. Yeah. Then she met Bill, became her friend, but life was never the same for her once
she never really recovered from losing Siebert.
No. And her health was bad, and so she was depressed a lot, and it was just really sad. So we've got such fond memories of Ruth, and so we just want to say how much we remembered her and think about her.
She was very giving. Every time she would come visit, she would bring us something, or if we were up there, she always wanted to do something for us or take us somewhere, or and give to her neighbors until really it hurt her. I mean, she literally gave until it hurt.
Yeah, she had some neighbors that were very destitute. This woman was, and
She couldn't stand to see people do without.
and so she let her move in with them, and she never. Well, she just let them move in with her, and she never could really get them to move out or to get rid of them. And finally, her house had to be sold, and Savannah, her daughter, took care of her and helped her find a place to live. But it was tragic. Her life was the last few years of her life.
She was never really the same once she lost Siebert. She just never really recovered.
It was not. So.
Couldn't recover from it.
So this evening we want to remember Ruth and pay a tribute to Ruth.
Yeah.
So we're signing off.
We are signing off, and we need for you to subscribe to my channel, Cora Varvel. And if you like this video, you need to go over and press the like button, because it will help me to distribute it and help other people to be able to see it. And so share it and tell other people about it. And we're going to come back on with some more stories.
We'll see.
If you haven't already seen, go to my channel. And there's other videos that we talk about our Wondering Grade School. And we talk about some other things on there. And so Millie texts about getting her fingers stuck in the pump. And we had all kinds of adventures. So go over and watch some of the other videos, and we're going to do another one. We have another one coming up that we're going to try to interview our older sister, Mary. And at some point in time, we're trying to get Victor Jr. on, and he'll be able to talk and tell some stories.
Okay.
And so thank you all for listening, and God bless you, and stay tuned, and we'll have more talk. Do you want to say goodbye while I go turn it off?
Okay, good night.